morning everyone and welcome again to Meister Tarot on this lovely, what do we date today? Wednesday in September, still in lockdown, think it's 2021 but starting to wonder my own sanity at some stages. Still desperate for a haircut. New South Wales in Australia is now over 80% first vaccination and over 50% second vaccination, so the government's talking about coming out of lockdown within the month. My hair does grow slowly, might leave it a few weeks and just see how things pan out. Even though I'm fully vaccinated, it's not really desperate that that we take the risk of going anywhere, and house full of introverts, which helps, that can work from home. So today I wanted to do a quick reading. I'm going to use a different style of layout today, just to try and get through this a little bit quicker, because a few things have come up in recent days in regards to the submarine, a few questions around the nuclear submarine deal that Australia has made with the US and the UK, and it basically, so this will be a reading about China, and it basically comes down to what intelligence has the governments gleaned that has led to this sudden decision, sudden pact, that really, yes, there was a little bit of planning, but it was pretty much out of the blue. The majority of the Australian government, ministers, etc., didn't even know it was being discussed. So it does lead one to think about what information has been received by the Five Eyes conglomerate of shared spy information, for want of a better term, that has led to this rapid decision. And basically the decision was not so much about the submarines themselves, but saber-rattling at China and the US getting a stronger military presence in the South Pacific. Every time I've read on China in the past, I do get insecurity. You have to realise what's happened in China in recent years is it has developed significantly. There is now this very large middle class in China with their consumer demands and their expectations of government, their buying power. They're becoming monified from what was several decades ago a very much peasant agricultural base. And what's happened is there's more demand on luxury goods and resources coming through that China itself cannot, luxury goods and foods and wines and, just housing and, automobiles and clothes and what we in first world countries have grown used to over the last 50 or 60 years. So there's this growing demand for products and services that a lot of it cannot be provided by the Chinese government itself. They are dependent on the West for a lot of their luxury foodstuffs, their base raw materials, iron ore, quality coal, etc. And so I've often read on China, and I seem to pull the insecurity card very often. And so they cannot provide for their population and are therefore dependent on the West, and it makes them extremely uncomfortable. There is in China a fear of an undercurrent fear of revolution, rebellion, as there always is in these sorts of transition phases of countries. Australia's no different. We had ours 150 years ago. And when you've got a population of 1.4 billion people, if you have a rebellion of a mere 1% kicking up and demanding better and trying to overthrow the government, that still equates to 14 million people. So there is a real juggling act going on in China to maintain the growth, maintain the satisfaction of the population, and supply what is now being demanded. So I do want to ask a couple of questions in regards to the relationships and the intelligence, but it also came to my attention today. I was actually going to read on this yesterday, and for whatever reasons I couldn't. And I think one of those reasons may have been that it came to my attention on my news feed today that in the stock market, now the stock market worldwide is in decline, which is concerning. Australia itself has $1.6 trillion Australians in the stock market, in the worldwide stock market, a lot of that in the Australian stock market, mainly in the form of superannuation, which is the same as the US, I think they call 401ks or something. It's the retirement pensions. And at the moment, the share market's going through some really difficult times. So I'll just want to do a quick read on the direction of the share market, because at the end of the day, these are people's retirement funds, their pension funds, the monies that they anticipate to live on and not be reliant on the government when they're no longer working. But what came to my attention today was that there's a very large Chinese development company called Evergrande. Google it if you're interested and have a bit of a read. But it's having severe cash flow problems. It's got what was it? It was $412 billion in liabilities. It's a massive development company based in China. It's in the top 500 businesses worldwide on the share market. Creates approximately 3.8 million jobs globally, and currently has 1,300 projects in 280 cities worldwide. It's not the only thing it invests in. It's bought itself the soccer team for several hundreds of millions. It's investing several $1 billion in building a stadium. It has developed the Chinese version of Hawaii for the wealthy, which they are apparently having problems selling, and that cost them several hundreds of billions of dollars. So at the moment, it's has this massive liability, $412 billion, and it has advised its investors that it is anticipating to default on its loans, an interest payment of $137 million. So what's happening here is similar to Lehman's in the US in 2008 that caused the worldwide collapse of the stock market and property market. And it'll be interesting to see if the Chinese government will bail this company out. There's a few factors in play there as well. So whether this is part of the power play that's happening, which has led to the submarines, etc., is that the Chinese are very desperate not to lose face. It's very important to them that they maintain the respect and authority of others, and a default like this would send shivers through the Chinese the worldwide market, but also be very embarrassing for the Chinese. Now, in the West, we tend to go, oh, well, it happens, but there is a different philosophy in the East in regards to errors and mistakes, and not maintaining this facade of being ethical and respectable, and suffering from embarrassment, etc. So I'm not. This is for entertainment purposes only, and these are my spiritual opinions that I am reading on here today. But I just wanted to give a little bit of background that you might like to investigate further yourself, but just be aware that that is going on at the moment in the stock market and the share market. So I haven't really written down any questions. I just wanted my Meister, my major spirit guide, to guide me through the questions today. And he did tap me on the head the other day and tell me, right volcano, wrong country, that I read on the other day. So I had read on Etna and its grumblings, because that was what it was on the news, but apparently it was the volcano in the Canary Islands that I was actually seeing. So I have asked him on several occasions to, if I'm getting something wrong, please tell me during the reading, but he has a tendency to tell me afterwards, so I do apologise for that. The reading, I believe from memory, which, as you know, my memory is like a sieve, was that be aware but not alarmed, follow the directions of the authorities. It's not going to be catastrophic, but it is going to be destructive for those in its path. So, make preparations and stay safe. So that's all I can say on that. Right, so I want to just quickly ask, okay, welcome to my spirit guide and all who come with him. Protect us with your light and guide us with your messages. Thank you. Okay, I'll try and be quick today. So what's happening with the submarines is apparently Australia's going to lease the submarines while our own are being built. Now, I must admit, if we're going to go down this path, I'm not against the leasing. I'm not real keen on the building and owning in Australia, but the leasing means that if we lease them from the US then have a reason to come to the aid of Australia. They can have a military presence in Australia without it being onerous on Australia itself. It means that they have a vested interest in us, and I know that they say that they're Australia's allies and that they will help us and come to our aid, but the record with the US coming to the aid of their allies in times of need is not great. So I apologise to anyone from the US watching. It's not that we don't appreciate, it's just we tend to be a little bit cynical in this country, and friendship and trust needs to be earned rather than just declared. So I do want to ask, there is one question that I wrote down. I don't know whether it's relevant anymore, but I'll still ask it. Are the submarines about Australia or the US? Now, I'm using my mystical manga cards today. They're not ones that I'm particularly comfortable reading because I haven't used them a lot, and they do have a lot of nuances in them. More I use them, the better it is, but they are for my political and business readings. If I need to clarify, I do have a second deck there. Are the submarines actually about US presence in the South Pacific? Are the submarines about US presence in the South Pacific? 5-card draw, yes or no, please. Are the submarines about US presence in the Pacific? Let's have a look. The cards are telling me yes. If I go by the old standard, the old-fashioned odds and evens and major arcana and court cards, etc., it's no, but this is looking to me at yes. At the moment they're going through quite a tightrope juggling act. I'm going to have a sip of coffee, I do apologise. My bucket of coffee, as my husband calls it. Right, so you've got the ocean in the background and the ships. You've got the US juggling financially. There's sorry about that. The dogs are barking at some imaginary whatever, so I do apologise. So what you've got here is juggling the money, walking the tightrope, but you've got the high seas here and the turbulence on the high seas. So it tells me that the shipping channels, a major concern is the shipping channels to keep the money flowing. The US domestically and internationally juggling finances at the moment due to things that have gone on in the last 5 or 6 years, which has led to international trade issues, and that's what this card is. It's a plan for on a world stage, looking overseas, waiting for the ships to come in, etc. So their concern is the overseas trade, but also sharing the cost in keeping these channels open. Now this is manifesting something into reality. Drawn here to the flame on the magician. He is also juggling. This is a card that has all the suits. You've got your sword, your cup, your sword, your wand, your cup, and the pentacles are floating around. So they're actually dark pentacles. They are worried on the international stage about their positioning in the South Pacific. Ten of Cups usually means happy families, but I think combined with this card, this is circles of support and celebration. And I think what it is that they're trying to get a presence in the South Pacific, and they're joining with their friendly allies in an agreement to keep those shipping channels open. So it's all to do with trade at the moment. Bottom of the card is the Hierophant, which is government. Bottom of the pack, Wheel of Fortune, is new beginnings, new starts. A cycle coming to an end and a new start. So that's actually I might draw a clarifier on that. A new start, a cycle coming to an end. Now I'm just wondering whose cycle. Is this Wheel of Fortune the cycle coming to an end and a new beginning? What it also can indicate is a shift in power. Is this indicating a shift in the power of the South Pacific towards the West? Is this indicating a shift of power in the South Pacific away from China influence? Is this... I don't even know if that's the right question. I'll just ask, it'll tell me. Is this indicating a shift in power away from China in the South Pacific? The Magician again, manifesting something into reality. The end and the breaking down of old. Sorry, I'm just feeling very the whole world is shifting on me at the moment. I'm feeling very, if I say woozy, it's not the right word. I just felt like when you see in the movies when someone's going through a temporal zone or something like that, the whole house was shifting. And no, it's not an earthquake. And 10 of Cups again. Sorry about the light. I haven't sort of found the right light. I have windows everywhere in my house because I love light, which means it's sort of very hard to find somewhere that doesn't have a window behind me. But that's the 10 of Cups again. Happy families and new start. Right, I'm just going to... go back to the mystical magna and ask, is this China? Is this China with a new start? No, I'm getting a no, and this has jumped out. Okay, so they're feeling like they're being held hostage, trapped. They're not really. This card, the Eight of Swords, is the self-perception, the self-sabotage, the confining of yourself through your own fears, insecurities, whatever. So no, this is actually the US coming in to have a presence in the South Pacific, which will cause a shift back towards, I'm going to say Western dominance, but I hate that word. It's more of a global society rather than a particular country orientated society. So that's telling me that no, it's not China. That's China with its insecurity again. And I'm sorry if I've got any China viewers. This is my spiritual opinion only. Okay, a few questions I wanted to ask. I'm going to ask them anyhow, but I'm just thinking it's possibly not relevant at the moment. But I will ask, did the US, I'm going to, just a 3-card draw, did the US receive intelligence? Because apparently there's been a military build-up in China near the coast that leads to Taiwan. So I'm just going to ask whether is the submarine deal to do with Taiwan? Also going to ask whether it was to do with some other factors, but I'm just going to ask those three question draw. Is the submarine deal to do with the protection of Taiwan? It's too many thrown out, but the bottom one was justice. So I think Taiwan is in the mix. Oh, thank you. And the Wheel of Fortune's thrown out at me again. Wheel of Fortune and defending oneself, setting up boundaries. I don't think I need to. And the Magician yet again. I mean, you sure saw how I shuffled. I do the casino, and then I do the shuffle, and I've still come up with the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician and the setting of boundaries. So basically, that's the US saying hands off Taiwan. There's another reason why they're there. Bottom was the Star of Hope. So I don't think we're going to be in for and victory. So for Taiwan's sake, I hope I'm reading right there that China will just step back in regards to Taiwan. Ask about Hong Kong. Heartbreaks for those in Hong Kong as well. With 50, however many years of independence, and then to have literally lost it overnight. Will Hong Kong I'm not going to read on Hong Kong. I just got being told, no, it's done. Hong Kong is done. So, sorry. The actual wording I got was too late for Hong Kong. Okay, South China Sea. It's the submarines, about protecting the shipping lanes, because China is trying to lay claim to some Japanese islands. Haven't investigated that further, that's just what I've heard along the way. They've also created some artificial islands in the South China Sea, actually just off the in the South China Sea to push its borders further south into the international shipping lanes, and apparently they're now setting up military bases on those islands. So I just want to check too, so that might come back to the US protecting the international trade. There's the submarine deals to do with the South China Sea, with the South protecting of the shipping lanes. Oh, the cards throwing out at me everywhere. All pentacles, all coins to do with money, but there are a few too many of them. It's the submarines based, submarine deal based in protecting the pentacles again. Again, too many cards, but it's the to me, Page of Pentacles back again. You've got the shipping, you've got the turbulence at sea, the juggling act, so yes, that tells me yes. Queen of Wands, so a plan, protection, yeah, that's what I'm getting from her. A plan to protect, and the Empress is abundance and wealth. So it's, yes, it's to keep the shipping lanes open. So it's a twofold effect there. Coins everywhere. It's all to do with international trade. Knight of Coins is a slow-moving, steady knight who is bringing a message. Yeah. A strong message, an offering, and it's protection of the shipping lanes. So, okay, I'm going to move to my other cards here. And I'm just going to do a quick read on the stock market, because like everybody else, I've watched my shares go down after, you know, doing quite nicely for a little while there. I keep getting this, I'm being told it's due to COVID, COVID, the Delta strain, is causing massive issues in the US, which is one of the major markets combined. Well, even this Chinese Evergrande deal is to do with global uncertainty due to COVID. So I'm just getting COVID in regards to the stock market going down. It was buoyant because for a period there, because it was under control in the West, and it's not really. People have realised that it's not, and in the US they have some major issues with. I was reading up on Idaho have now brought out, I think it's a crisis of health, a state crisis of health or something. I can't remember what it's actually called, but if you Google Idaho state declaration, it'll tell you where the hospitals in Idaho have been told, the public have been advised that they may not necessarily get care if they turn up at a hospital. They may not get a bed, they may not get the care that they think they should receive, and that in Idaho they have now issued a do not resuscitate. So if you come in with a heart attack or a serious car accident or COVID, and you stop breathing, or your heart stops, then the hospital systems in that state have been told not to resuscitate. And we do know that people do survive in situations like that, but they have, due to the extremely overburdened hospital system, the state governors have made that declaration that they've just really got to triage people as they go in, and if your chance of recovery is not as high as somebody else, then somebody else will get the treatment, and you will be sent home or put in a body bag, one or the other, to basically make the best you can out of it. So please get vaccinated. It's the only way that we can foreseeably get out of this crisis at the moment. So that's what I am being told, that the issues with the share market at the moment, the issues with Evergrande, is COVID. People are extremely weary, and they are wary. And just when we think we're getting back on track, the wheels fell off again. So I'll just do a very quick reading. I might do an abbreviated Celtic cross for this one. How will the stock market fare in the next 12 months? How will the stock market fare? I'll say in the next 2 years, because it's really going to take 6 to 12 months at least for the world to get a handle on COVID. I mean, you've got countries where there's now, they're highly vaccinated, but there's hesitancy with that last percentage. As I said, in Australia, our over 16s, we're now at over 80% first dose. We're hoping to get to, and our government has applied, our government regulators have applied for the Pfizer to be now available down to 5-year-olds. We're hoping for 80 to 90% vaccination rates, but there are some countries where they haven't even reached 1%. They just simply cannot get vaccines. So it's going to be at least 12 months, 6 to 12 months before the world gets a handle on COVID, and then 12 months after that to start a recovery into the next phase. It's going to be getting that movement happening again. Which to me is indicating major change. As I said, it's like a portal going through a wormhole or something. This next 2 years is going to be a period of major thought adjustment throughout the world of what is really important, where we have our manufacturing, what jobs, what we really need as a people, and how we look after our planet. So, just very briefly, the stock market. The stock market in 2 years. As I said, abbreviated, so we've got the foundation. Oh dear, it's going to be a lot of, okay, it's too late to sell. Challenged by, it's going to happen very quickly, and So you've got the Three of Swords, heartbreak, disappointment, crossed, challenged by it happening very quickly. The Chariot, even though with this particular card it looks fairly smooth and stable riding, the Chariot also indicates chaotic, out of control. Base of the reading, Three of Pentacles, laying a solid financial foundation. Past, Nine of Cups, the good life. Crowning the reading is the Six of Wands, victory, but it's also a hard-fought battle, and the potential future is the Queen of Cups. So this is the emotional adjustment, protection, security, but the Queen of Cups also brings us a message of a change in direction. So it's going to be a rough 2 years. As I said, it's probably too late for most people to sell out, so I think this is not me giving financial advice. This is what I'm going to do personally. I'm going to just hang on for the ride. I don't have a lot of shares, so we're just going to hang on for the ride. The shares we do have are quality shares, so we'll just, yeah, okay. A lot of anxiety. As I said, a lot of people have money tied up in the share market. The High Priestess is secrets being revealed, or just something being revealed. The Sun, full illumination, but also a bright future. Four of Cups, being presented with an opportunity. But I also, if you look at this card, they're sitting under the tree reading their book. They have all their cups there. They're being offered, you know, all their cups. They're upright. They're not fallen over. They're not broken. They're being offered something else. So to me, that is reading as just be emotionally patient. Just be emotionally patient. And that's me for today. So thank you for joining me. I hope you got something out of that. It was an interesting reading, and I do apologise that I waffle a bit at the beginning. That's me setting up for the reading with a bit of background so that what I'm reading on makes sense. My guides have very early on told me not to bother reading on sort of the day-to-day ins and outs and waffles of personal politics and personal sagas, and it is, to be honest, that's not something I'm particularly interested in either. I like to read on the big picture, so I do apologise if I talk for a bit long at the beginning. That's me setting up the big picture so that the reading can flow from that. Any questions, please put them in the box below. I'd love to hear from you, and take care. Stay safe, and we'll talk next time. Bye-bye.